Hello, everyone. Hopefully this is working. We'll bring up the little chat bar, so definitely let me know how the voice is sounding. I'm using the laptop mic at the moment, but if that's no good, you can switch to this guy as well. But let's just quickly, as we've just started, let's send over the video. Just post it on different sites there. This is cool. Hopefully this works. Again, this is sort of just like an impromptu test. So if there are sort of bugs and issues, we will certainly try it again. Okay, just quickly, just going to post on my channel, and hopefully you guys can come on and chat if anyone's up. It's about 10:30 in the morning, Australia time. What is it where you guys are? Just posting right now. Okay, brilliant. I think that's all good. Fantastic. Okay, great. Let's get back into it. Cool. Now, the one issue seemingly is, can't seem to see, there it is. Okay. I think I can see your chat board as well. Hopefully. That's the one issue that I know people have had before. So hopefully it's in this feed. But yeah, so this is all going to be a nice little chat by good buddy Ryan Lawley over from Texas. So it's going to be really cool. The last couple of years, Ryan's got to go to NAMM. If you're not sure what NAMM is, it's the gigantic, biggest, guitar convention. It lasts a couple of days. It's over in Anaheim in the States. And yeah, it's basically all about sort of all these big companies and big artists getting together, and they are, sort of promoting what new gear they're going to have for the year. Huge sort of trade show of sorts, but I've wanted to go for ages. It always looks like so much fun, and you get to meet so many, cool artists just walking around willy-nilly and stuff. It sounds like it will be so much fun. So let's just quickly find out what's going on there with Ryan. Where's Ryan? What's going on, Ryan? Yeah, he's just having to install something, so hopefully it shouldn't be too much longer. Again, we knew this one would be a little bit buggy because it was our first time, but that's okay. Yeah, he's just having to install something, so hopefully it shouldn't be too much longer. Again, we knew this one would be a little bit buggy because it was our first. Awesome. Okay, that's all done. Sweet. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So yeah, so mainly this is just going to be a nice chat with Ryan and see how everything is going. See how if he did get sick at the NAMM, everyone, because it's such like a crazy convention, and everyone's flying in from different parts of the world, and everyone stays up really late. Maybe they do YouTube videos or partying and stuff. Everyone gets sick, so we're going to see if Ryan's ended up getting a little bit sick as well. Have a nice chat about NAMM and test this out. It's going to be really, really good. Alrighty. He just has to install a program for to get it all set up, so we can do this together. So it shouldn't be too much longer. Yeah, plan for today. So essentially, super excited. All of the strings, all of this. Get a better view there. Is it a little bit better? Something better. Cool. So essentially, plan for today is all of the strings and piano and drums have been sent over to this awesome dude in Sydney who plays bass in a lot of bands. He plays in Helix Nebula. So he's going to be producing and mixing and mastering. So that's going to be really cool. So he's doing all of the strings and piano and drums at the moment for my new EP that should be out in the next couple of months. Hey, it looks like maybe Ryan is here. Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you really well. That's really, really good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome. Is it? I'm going to switch microphones. Can you tell me if it's better or worse? Then I will know forever for next time.
Camera 1, camera 2. Mic 1, mic 2.
um, okay, is that a better microphone or a worse microphone?
Sounds about the same to me, actually.
There you go. Okay. Crisis averted.
I can't tell the difference here.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. Awesome. Okay. Well, what time is it over there?
It is 5:40 p.m. in the evening.
Wow. Well, thank you for having a quick chat just before dinner time.
Yeah, we're having spaghetti, so I'm excited.
Jealous.
All the carbs shall be consumed.
I had a late shift last night, so I've literally woken up. So I haven't had breakfast just yet, but spaghetti does sound pretty good.
Trying to figure out how would I share this.
I'll quickly, before we start, I'll quickly send you a link to the video. I'll send that to you, and then you can post that anywhere.
Great.
Done. There you go. Cool. Okay. So quick recap before Ryan gets in and the whole chat starts. So essentially, just like we said before, every sort of year in American winter and summertime, there's these giant conventions called NAMM. Guitar conventions last for a couple days. The winter one has always been the biggest one, like the start of the year, where all these, different music companies, whether it's guitar, piano, microphone, everything like that, anything you can think of, they launch their new sort of products for the year, whether it's a flagship product, whether it's something, a new line, whether it's just a slight modification to a line. If you're, a big company or, an aspiring company and you want to get some coverage, essentially all these companies go over to NAMM. And so Ryan went this year and he went last year. So I thought we'd have a little bit of a chat with Ryan about that. Is that all good? Are we almost good to go?
I think so. I'm trying to
Brilliant.
Close my other tabs that are unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
There's Pat David Music on YouTube tab. That's a good tab to have open.
Thank you, sir.
One more. Almost there. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance because I'm at home. And let's see. We have a guest with us who's about 8 months old. So you might hear crying in the background. I don't know.
Or maybe you just really want to go back to NAMM.
It could be that. It could be that. Okay, let's see. Here we go.
Yeah, all good.
All righty. We're good.
Fantastic. Okay, so tell me first off, how long have you been going to NAMM for?
Well, this was actually, I think, my fourth one altogether. Angela and I both went to a summer NAMM in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember. I guess 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And this was my third winter NAMM. So that's 4 altogether, 3 winters and 1 summer.
Awesome. And which do you prefer, the winter or the summer?
It's kind of funny because the winter NAMM is like the big one where, everybody's there and it's really huge. All the manufacturers are there, but it's a bit crazy because it's so big and it's so busy and loud. Mm-hmm. The summer one is more laid back and it's not so crazy, but not all the manufacturers go to that one. So it's kind of like a lot of the big boys don't attend it because, oops, sorry. If you're going to go to one, sort of the winter one's the one to spend your marketing money on. And so I like them both. But the summer one's kind of nice because it's not as loud for one thing. So you can actually talk to people and not lose your hearing. So
where's the summer one held?
It's usually in Nashville.
That's right. Yep.
At a convention center there. So it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more low key. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's enjoyable, but winter's the big show.
And did you end up getting sick, like mostly everybody that goes?
I kind of did, but I was a little sick before I went. Like I had some allergies and like sinus drainage stuff going on. And so while I was there, of course, you're talking like you're almost yelling just to have a face-to-face conversation with someone because it's so loud. The ambient noise in the place is just super high.
Mm.
So you really have to raise your voice considerably just to have a normal conversation. And you do that all day long for like 8 or 9 hours. And then you're like, my voice was just shot at the end of it. And then of course they said there was maybe 300,000 people there in total this year across all 4 days, I think. Probably not at once. I don't think there were 300,000 people in the building at one time, but in general. And so from all over the world, so there's a lot of people, close quarters. So I was a little sick on the last day of NAMM. I didn't even get home yet.
Yeah.
But Monday morning, as soon as I got back, I went to the doctor and they gave me a shot and antibiotics. So I recovered really fast.
Nice.
And all my friends who went, they just, as the week went on, like Robert Baker and Pixie Licks, and they got sick. As the week went on, it got worse for them. So interestingly, though, last year I didn't get sick at all. So
okay. So whatever you did last year, that's what you need to do every year. You did something.
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but I don't know.
Maybe it's because you drove. Did you drive last year and fly?
That was the year before that. The first year.
Yep.
The first year I went, when I drove, me and Dad drove and came back. I was pretty sick after that. And then I had like even worse sickness issues. I don't know, but just sitting in the car for that long. And so that was not good. The first drive out and back was not good. The next year I was fine. And then the last year, but I kind of went into it feeling a little worn down anyways. So yeah, if you go, I think the tip is load up on vitamins and vitamin C and get some antibiotics going in your system before you even get there. That would be the tip.
I'd love to, because eventually I'll go, but it's so expensive coming from Australia. Probably to go just for like a week would probably cost me around like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, well, the airfare alone, I'm sure, is insane.
Definitely, especially around that time, because although it's American winter, it's Australian summer. So everyone that has that is like a teacher or has like children in schools, everyone finishes school on like just a few days before Christmas, and then they go back at the end of January, just before February. So that's like a holiday month. So that's when, I'm sure it's in the States or wherever like in the world that you are, where that holiday month, all the air flights are more expensive because everyone wants them, because everyone's on holidays. Yeah. So it's even more expensive than normal. So.
And travel into like LA at that point in time. There's a ton of people flying in to LAX at that point. So I avoided that. Flying from Dallas to, I could actually go to a smaller airport right in Orange County, which is great because it's a John Wayne airport.
Brilliant.
How awesome is that?
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, Southwest Airlines will fly into John Wayne. If you can fly into Orange County, it's a little bit better than flying into the actual LAX airport. But, it depends on where your airlines will take you.
But definitely, I think in the year when I go, I think a month leading up to it, I'm going to try and have this video idea. I'm going to try and have as many of my friends that have been to NAMM as possible, and they're going to each give like a tip of what sort of training you can do to prepare yourself for NAMM, and so you don't get sick.
Survival guide.
Yeah, and maybe like I'll talk to like a vocal instructor and what sort of exercises you can do to make sure you're going to be yelling at people for a couple of days and not lose your voice. I think that'd be pretty cool.
The one good tip I learned this time that I didn't know before was to get insoles for my shoes. Because you're standing and walking literally like all day.
Yep.
And so if you're not just sitting half the day, if you have an office job or a teaching job or something like that, but you're literally on your feet walking the whole time, like all day long. So most people at the end of the day, their feet are just killing them. I thought, that's brilliant. So I got some extra cushy insoles.
Nice.
Put in my boots.
Yeah.
That was a killer tip. I'm like, oh man, that was great. I'm glad I did.
Would the next level be some sort of a slipper, some sort of a comfy boot?
Yeah, probably. Memory foam shoes.
Yeah,
that would be good.
Well, let's. I'll ask you some stuff about NAMM because I'm really. I'm hearing a lot of this for the first time too, so I'm really excited to hear this as well. So let's start with. Do you remember exactly? I know it was a little while ago now. Do you remember in what order you went to the booths and what maybe you did on the first day, or is it easier if I ask you specific stuff?
Well, I know what I did the first day. I landed. It opens Thursday, so opening day is Thursday, and it opens at 9 or 10. 9 o'clock for the vendors, and then 10 o'clock for everyone else. I think that's right. And so, but I didn't get there till about 3 o'clock California time because I had to fly in. So first thing I did, actually, I went down to the Chapman Guitars booth just because I wanted to check in with those guys real quick. And, you know, being one of the very few dealers in the United States, it's kind of like, I mean, one of the main reasons I went is to go connect with those guys and see what's going on and kind of touch base. So I went there first just to see who was there and to see what their schedule was and try to get some time booked in with them whenever I could do some video stuff with Rob Chapman and all that. So I did that first. And then what did I do? I can't remember what I did next. I might have gone to Schecter next, probably.
Okay. Before, I should say a big disclaimer before we talk in full detail. I should say that I've told a few people that I'm getting a new guitar this year, but no one knows what it is yet. So we should.
All right.
So we should keep that under wraps.
Sure. Well, for me, it was kind of an odd thing because two of the main companies I deal with didn't have a booth this year, which was Diamond, DBZ Diamond, and then CMG Guitars, Chris Mitchell Guitars, and Devil Cat Amps out of Georgia. Both of those companies didn't go this year, although I think Devil Cat and CMG will be at the Summer NAMM. You know, they're on the East Coast in Georgia, so it's a lot more cost effective and easier for them to go to the Summer NAMM. So, you know, we only carry a few lines. I carry Schecter, Washburn, Chapman, of course, and then DBZ Diamond, CMG. I think I'm forgetting somebody, but that's our main guitar lines. And then, so two of them weren't there. So it was kind of, I wanted to hit our main companies that we do business with first.
Yep.
So I think I went up to Schecter next. I don't know. It's all a blur because you'll walk and then you run into people.
Yeah.
Like I think I ran into the Tone King while I was hanging out at the Chapman booth before I even left, and we started a discussion. And then I went to go. No, that's what it was. I went to go hunt down my roommates. And then on the way to hunt down them, like I ran into Andy Timmons. I'm like, Andy.
Oh man, that's so cool.
How's it going, man?
Yeah.
So I started talking to him, and you know, got some pictures.
Oh man, he's such a great player.
He's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and he's very humble.
Well, and just super super tasteful playing. I always love listening to his music over the years. It's just really, really musical, very tasteful, never too, you know, shred-tastic, you know, sort of stuff. Just such a great player.
Yeah, he can unleash it whenever he wants to.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
You know, holds back and plays tastefully is a great word for that. But he's phenomenal, you know. And he's a really nice guy.
Did you check out his, if you haven't, or other people checking this video out, you should definitely check out, Andy Timmons did a whole album where he copied the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's album. Did you get to check that out?
Yeah, I actually didn't get it because I was talking. It's funny, believe it or not, I have a friend here in Texas who has a recording studio.
Yeah.
You haven't met him, but him and Andy are kind of friends. Like they kind of go back a ways. And he was just in my shop. His name's Paul, not the bass player Paul, but another Paul. And we were talking about it. I was talking about, you know, chatting with Andy at NAMM, and we started talking about, and he's like, well, what's the last record of his you have? And I'm like, it's the white one. But he said, you didn't get the Beatles one? I'm like, I'm not really a big Beatles fan. I mean, like that might be like blasphemy for some people. And I'm like, I'm just not like a rabid Beatles fan. So, you know, I wasn't really keen to get, I'm sure he did a great job, you know, and the Beatles are great. Like they have obviously their place in history, and they changed the music industry. But I'm not like, oh man, I have all the records kind of a thing. So
I'll send you some
I
links.
have his record before the Beatles one. I think it's called Resolution. Maybe that's it.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. I've got that one too.
Yeah. But he was doing some stuff with JHS pedals, and he was on his way there, so we only had a few minutes to chat about that. But trying to remember, I don't know if I could remember what order I went in because everything was just kind of a blur.
That's okay. Well, how about I'll shout out some people at you or some guitar companies, and then you can tell us your experience. Is that okay?
Yeah.
See what you can remember in the fuzziness of NAMM. So let's start with, okay, so you were saying before, so if you could just like sum up the whole experience and maybe the people that you met and what you saw at the Chapman. Let's start with the Chapman booth first.
Oh yeah. So that the first day I got there, the neat thing about that is, you know, that Rob Scallon has a new signature guitar coming out. He has an 8-string.
Crazy.
And what was funny was Rob hadn't got there yet. Like he wasn't going to make it until like Thursday evening.
Okay. Yep.
So his 2 guitars were there, but he had actually not even touched them or set eyes on them yet. And so I grabbed his 8-string. I'm like, hey, take a picture of me. So I had a picture, and I immediately put it up on Instagram. And I was like, I'm not saying I'm holding Rob Scallon's signature guitar prototype before he did.
That's awesome.
What was really cool was like he saw it on Instagram and liked it and left me a nice comment about it. And so, and then of course he was there later the next day, but I thought that was kind of funny. I really liked that. I've never picked up an 8-string before.
Yep.
And the neck on it is just like that big. It's just your whole hand.
Like a baseball bat.
Yeah, it felt really weird. Like I wouldn't even know where to start with an 8-string. So that was cool. That was on the first day. And of course I talked to Rabia Masad, and Rabia is a really nice guy. Like he's a great player. Like I'm a big fan of Rabia's playing particularly. And some of the stuff he's doing in his other band, Tosca, that's more like progressive-y kind of stuff. Yeah. And so it's always really nice to talk to him. And then some of the other, you know, they've got several new artists that they got this year, like Leo from Frog Leap Studios. And
yeah, he's a cool guy.
Very nice guy. Trying to think of who else. Well, the next day I actually met Rob Scallon when he was there, and he recognized me from the Instagram thing. I was like, oh man, hey, how's it going? Yeah. And we started a real conversation about, he's asking me about business and sales and, you know, just the business side of the industry in general, not just specifically Chapman guitarists, but in general. He said, man, I don't really know anything, you know, do music and write, you know, YouTube things, but he's not really like, how do you sell gear and what's the future of retail, the retail industry and stuff. He was very curious about that, but he was really nice, like really accommodating, and just, you know, for someone who has as much YouTube popularity and fame as he does, like that doesn't really come across. Okay. So cool. So he was really cool to talk to. It was really interesting, and he's a really smart guy too. Yeah. I don't know if you saw it. I didn't get any video stuff with Scallon, but Tone King did a video with him that was really good, where he started talking about, here's how you make money. Like, don't rely on your AdSense. I mean, that's part of it, but that's not really, you couldn't live off that, even at his level. You know, and he had a whole list of like, here's what you do. Like you've got to do, you have merchandise, and you got to record records, and you got to do this and this and this and this. And he started going through this whole list of stuff. Like, it's really well thought out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that guy's smart. Like, he's very savvy. Like, and he even said, well, he was studying investing, you know, before he went full into the music thing. Like, you know, you have some investments that pay out when others are doing weak. And then that one that's paying out, you know, it declines, and then the other ones pick up. And he was talking about the music industry and how that's very similar. So talking to him was really cool. I'm trying to decide if that was the highlight for me or not. But then Garrett Peters, of course, I met Garrett like back 2 years ago there. And he phenomenal guitar player. If you're into the shred stuff, he's great.
He's crazy.
So
He's crazy.
that was checking out the new models. I haven't had the chance to lay my hands on a Ghost Fret yet, and then putting my hands on them and seeing them in person is pretty cool. I think that's it. And then Robert Baker, of course, did a little guest cameo solo there for Leo from Frog Leap Studios was doing a thing, and it was the Adele song, I guess, that he did. And Pete Cottrell originally wrote the solo for it, but of course Pete Cottrell is in England. He wasn't there, so Robert Baker filled in and did the ripping solo on it. So that was fun. And
that's really
Robert
cool.
and I were friends and go back a long ways. So the last day at Chapman is when I got to see Rob each day and we chatted real quick. And the last day was when I actually got a little bit of video with Rob, like right at the end of the show, pretty much before I had to. Well, yeah, the last full day, I had to leave early on Sunday, so we got some time to chat about some stuff, which was cool. I think that's really it. I mean, they shared a booth with Victory. Out in there, imagine going to y'all have kind of probably good sized music stores in Australia, right?
It just cut out for a second. Hopefully that didn't cut out for you guys as well. Definitely leave me a comment and I'll check the comments if it cut out. It did something weird and then it just caught up and you spoke really fast. And then you asked me about Australian stores. So what was the question, sorry, regarding Australian stores?
It was y'all have some pretty good sized stores in Australia, right? For music stores?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago there was a huge I guess decline because so many of these companies, like Guitar Center and stuff, like in the States, they borrowed way too much money, and they sort of we had this big sort of franchise, Billy Hards and Allen's, and they quickly, in like a couple of years, they put all these stores in all of these suburbs, and sort of really, evilly to kill out all the mom and pop stores, so that there would only be these franchise stores left. And if you wanted to buy anything musical related, you'd then go to the franchise stores. But then what happened was, sadly, like, not only did the mom and pop stores, a lot of them have to close down, but then everyone just went in decline and the industry went sort of down for a couple of years. So no one bought anything. And so it went from having all these little stores in every suburb to now only having like these couple of big stores. So we do have big stores, but they're only like, from where I am at the moment, I'd have to drive like 20 minutes or half an hour or something like that. So they're all like strategically scattered out, but they're no longer everywhere. There's not all little ones. It's just like you were saying, there's just a couple big ones these days.
Have you ever been in one of those when it was full of people and like everybody playing at the same time, different crap, and it's really loud?
It's been because my schedule's been so crazy and opposite of the rest of the world for so long. Generally, when I'm at music stores for the last couple of years, I'm there at like 10 in the morning or 9 in the morning, and no one's there. And everyone that's working there is still having their coffee, and they're like not very pleased to see me. But no, so it hasn't. I haven't had that in years and years and years. But I know.
I always tell people, imagine you go in there on a really busy day, and like there's a million people in there. Everybody's playing something, and there's people in the drum department playing stuff, and there's guitars, and it's just like chaos. It's like that, but on 1,000. And so trying to like demo gear there, unless there's like a soundproof booth or something, like it's really hard to. I mean, I could have played on all the Victory amps right there, but getting a real true idea of what they sound like is nearly impossible. So I'm like, I'm not even going to worry about that.
Fair enough.
I looked at them.
So essentially, like, you can check out the guitars, but it's really like the feel. That's sort of the main things that you can check out, because it's just too hard to hear anything.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because when I picked up like a Ghost Fret, I just picked it up. I didn't even plug it in because there's no point. I just was just sort of, how did it feel? The balance and the neck and the response of it. So it's hard to go and play stuff.
Of course.
It's not easy to do.
Well, before we go on to the next booth, I'll just quickly double check. Awesome. Okay, I just wanted to double check and say hello to the couple of people that are watching. And just double check if anyone does have any questions. People already have comments. The comfy shoes are the best. Thank you, Chris. And Mike was saying that we should definitely always have sanitizer. Because
there was a lot of that.
People. Yeah. Awesome. Well, maybe what I'll say is if anyone's watching, definitely leave a comment about the particular booth that we're talking about. And then, maybe at the end of each booth when we have a chat, we can go back to the comments and double check if there's something like specific. So you were saying Schecter. So it was Schecter's, like 40th year.
This 2016 is their 40th anniversary. They actually started in 1976, so that's pretty cool. They always have a really good booth. There's like there's like 3 levels of the place, right? The basement level is kind of where all the young unknown companies are, because it's the cheapest to get a little booth there. And then you have the main hall, which is huge, and as long as, God, I don't know, a soccer field or a soccer stadium or a football field, football. So it's huge. And then there's the 3rd level, and that's where the big boys like PRS and Gibson and Fender, and that's where ESP and Taylor and Schecter are. They're up there, and they have a whole kind of room to themselves, which is really expensive. So that's kind of the layout of the convention center. But Schecter, they always have a really good booth, and it's just floor to ceiling guitars on one wall. And they have some pretty cool stuff for 2016. They're really they just keep growing, and they keep expanding. I did watch Nick Johnston did a clinic there, so I did catch some of it, and I got some video that I haven't edited yet, but watching him play there. He was at the Seymour Duncan booth a couple of times, and he also played at the Schecter booth. But Schecter booth was great. They had some really cool guitars. And a lot of new finishes this year too. And what they're doing that's really interesting is Schecter has actually always made pickups in the USA, and that's kind of one of the things they're known for, other than like metal guitars, is their like hand wound or their USA pickups. And so a lot of their production model guitars, they're putting their USA Schecter pickups in this year. So that's a pretty cool feature, I think. There's a 40th anniversary Avenger that I've been eyeballing. And like, I'm not a big fan of the Avenger shape personally, which is the one that Sinister Gates plays.
Ah, yes, I know the one. So what is it specifically about the 40th that you like?
The finish on it. It's like this. I think it's called Snow Leopard, but it's a quilted maple top. The finish on it is really beautiful. And normally they have a kind of an ugly, well, in my opinion, an ugly headstock. Like on the Sinister model, I don't like the headstock on it. And then on the normal Avenger, they have usually a really long headstock. But on this one, it looks more like the Hellraiser C1 headstock. So it's mostly the finish. Like the quilted maple looks great, and then the stain that they're using, which is kind of a natural. It's kind of a dark. Well, it's not. It's hard to describe. I'll just have to put up a picture. But it's they have 3 models, 3 40th anniversaries. They have the Tempest, which I almost actually ordered one.
Really?
When I heard about it, but then when I saw it, I'm like, no, I don't want that. Because it had dot inlays. I didn't like the dot inlays. And then they have the C1 40th anniversary. And I'm not a big Super Strat body shape fan. I mean, I just don't play them. I sell them, but I don't. The Avenger, just the finish on it really is what I like the most, probably. I might see if I can get one. I don't know. I'm going to try.
Why? Because I heard that there's not like an amount of the 40th anniversary that they're making. They're just making them throughout the entire year. So maybe there's one that they could send down to the store for you to check out. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, that would. I tried to score, because the ESP had their 40th anniversary last year.
That's right.
In 2015. and I was trying to get an Eclipse 40th, but they only made like 200, like of each of the 40th anniversary ESPs. And I'm like, oh. And by the time I found out about them, I couldn't get one.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I have a friend who's an ESP dealer, and I wanted to get it from him because we're not an ESP dealer yet. And he was like, he couldn't get them. They were long gone. Like as soon as they were announced, a lot of the big chain types snatched them all up.
Yeah.
A lot of the smaller independent dealers didn't even have a chance to get their hands on the,
Pretty much as soon as you hear it's number 1 out of something, you just start adding the zeros onto the end of the guitar.
Yeah.
And they're so hard to find. They're so hard, especially in Australia. Like, if there's this any particular model that's a limited edition, we'll never see it, essentially. Or there's like maybe one store will buy it, but it'll sell out to an employee of that store. Like, so the public will never see it, essentially.
That's right.
So limited runs are really, really hard to get down here.
Yeah, so I'm going to try maybe, because I don't even own a Schecter, let alone many Schecters.
That's true. Oh no, we've been invaded.
That's Flipside Ike texting me.
Oh, nice.
I like Schecters, and the very first line that we took on when we opened RNA Music, actually the very first batch of guitars I ordered was Schecters, like at the very end of 2009. So it's the first company I brought on, and I've never bought one for myself, and I don't know why. I think because I was trying to sell them.
Well, for myself in particular, for many, many years, I guess just whenever I saw, and obviously Schecter make many guitars, many like levels of guitars, but whenever I saw Schecters advertised, I always just saw them on very pointy, very black, very metal guitars. Yeah. And it was never really, my particular thing. But it's really only in the last couple of years that I've really seen just the amazing different array of guitars. And they've got like, they've got like a Fender sort of esque series now. And now with Nick Johnson, they have like custom shop stuff. And it was awesome to hear that all of his first run of his custom shop model have already sold out. Which is
that's pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
Those are not cheap. Like they're custom shop stuff. They've always had their custom shop stuff. I'm silencing him.
Ike begun.
Silence.
But so that's really cool. I mean, for me with Schecter, what everything changed on my opinion with Schecter is in the last couple of years, once they started working with some more YouTubers, and specifically guys like Loomis, all these just amazing heroes of mine. And they started bringing out these really cool new designs, and they started to listen more to like the players that were using them rather than, maybe what was selling and what wasn't selling and stuff. And so they came up with some really interesting designs, and specifically this year, this NAMM with Loomis's new red pointy sort of Explorer. Yeah. How was that when you saw it in person?
I have mixed feelings because I really
pretty out there.
Jeff Lumen.
Yeah.
But it's pretty. I couldn't see myself playing one personally. Like I could see myself playing his regular 7-string, even though it's basically that super strat shape, which isn't really my thing, but I would totally play his. And of course, Keith Merrow's stuff is really cool. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Cygnus, because it's pretty out there, and from the retail side of things, just speaking as like a retailer, store owner, sales type thing, the pointier a guitar is, the less it sells. It's just one of those things. Like now everybody likes them. Like, man, you should get some more V's. You should get some more of this. But none of those guys are actually have any money and want to buy them. You know what I mean? So now the people who are passionate about pointy shaped guitars and because I like V's and I like Explorers. So we think, well, everyone else must love them too, but not really. I mean, most people like Strat style guitars and Les Paul style guitars or something, or Telly style guitars, something in that vein. So even though, V's do sell and Explorer type things do sell. They don't sell that well in the grand scheme of things. But that's coming from even there was a couple of years ago, Schecter didn't have one flying V in their catalog. I think it was it might have been 2012, 2013, and I got the catalog. I'm like, so where are their V's? Now, granted, I had never even ordered one for the store, but I'm like, I think they're great. But I'm like,
yeah.
And I asked them, and they're like, yeah, well, they don't sell. So, they produced a bunch the last year, and it took forever to move through the inventory. So, they're, they took a year off.
I think it's just,
and people are like, where are all the V's? So,
I think with that particular guitar, it's more so just the fact that I like the fact, again, it's too pointy for me. And it'd be so weird if I was playing something like that. But I like the fact very much. I like the fact very much. It'd be bizarre. I just like that they're doing something really different. That's the main thing I like. I think that's really cool. And Loomis is such a killer player. So I mean, if he's put that effort into design something like that, it must play really well as well.
Well, somebody's going to buy it. I mean, people are going to buy it. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I think Jeff can play it, but
maybe it's programmed that only Jeff's hands can play that one.
Yeah, it was interesting though this year to notice the amount of kind of oddly shaped guitars that I think we're on an upswing for that kind of stuff because we had a lull for a few years. You couldn't sell one, and then with Chapman, their hottest selling guitar right now is the Ghost Fred, which is an Explorer type guitar, and you can't even keep them in stock. All the dealers in America are sold out, and we're waiting to kind of get more, but it's I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow if I can get some very quickly or not, So it's so that's an Explorer shaped guitar that's you can't even hold on to before they sell out. And then, of course, James Hetfield has a new V, that came out. And then of course he has his snakebite guitar, and those are going to sell because it's James, and then there are a few others that were and Schecter's they have this really cool sort of trans purple V. That's it looks more like a classic type, Gibson style block inlays, but in this really cool kind of trans purple. I'm like, oh, that's hot. I want that.
Something about purple guitars are pretty cool.
Yeah. And then there's, Jeff's new guitar, the Cygnus, which is way out there. And, so I don't know if we're on an upswing where people really want funky shaped guitars. I mean, it must be because they're being produced by people. So we'll see what the response is, I guess.
What I thought maybe a good segue. Have you seen, or did you get a chance to see at this NAMM, or would you go see maybe next NAMM, any of the Strandberg guitars, like the headless, more ergonomical guitars?
There were some of those.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make it over to their booth. Actually, I didn't know where it was either, but that's pretty interesting too. That those traditionally haven't done real well either compared to traditional guitars, but there definitely seems to be an upsurge. I think there's a lot more experimenting going on these days than there used to be, but it's always a weird thing because guitar players are very traditional. We don't like change too much. I mean, we say we like it, but then when it comes time to spend the money, the bottom line dollar kind of tells the story of whether people really like stuff or not. The market dictates what everybody does the next year. But there is quite a bit of, from what I see, the pointy guitar stuff, and then the like you're talking the Strandberg stuff. I think people are becoming a little bit more accepting of that kind of stuff. Oh, and Ola has a new V. I forgot that. Yeah, Ola's new V, which is very pointy. It's quite sharp.
Before we hear about Ola, let's stop for a second, double check if there's any questions going on, and then that's a good segue into Washburn. That'd be great. And
I'm having to switch screens to go.
Yeah, I can't on my little laptop. I do apologize. I have to jump back. Awesome, cool. So we've got more people here.
Mike S4628.
Awesome. Hello again to Mike and Brandon and Aaron. Awesome.
Dale Burkett.
Awesome. And Charlie P from Paris. Hello, Charlie. Awesome. This is good. It was so hard working out a time that would work for both of us. And normally, obviously, this is my Tuesday morning. It's about 11:30 a.m. So normally, I'd be working. So I just had the day off. So it's so hard with these time frames. Like this is, what is it? Pretty much dinner time. Is it almost dinner time, Ryan?
Yeah, it's about 6:20 in the evening here. So
yesterday,
it's quite a different
Monday.
time lag. You're in the future.
So I'm in the future, Tuesday morning. He's still stuck on Monday.
I'm stuck on Monday.
He's got a bad case on Mondays. So
Mike S4628. He got a 7-string Schecter from me, and
trying to remember
Mike
which
currently
one
has the record of most guitars purchased by one customer from RNA Music.
I feel like you should send him a trophy, and then if someone breaks that record, then he has to pass the trophy on.
You know what? That's a brilliant idea, because there's a little bit of competition between him and Tim Worley.
Oh, Tim's awesome. Yeah, I reckon that would be cool. And then if Tim surpasses him, he has to mail it to Tim. That'd be awesome.
That's great. Cool. Robert Baker was in the running, but he has since sold several of the guitars. So,
but he still purchased them. So does that count?
He did still purchase them, but I think Tim suggested one of the ground rules should be current possession of the guitars needs to count. So.
I understand. Well, let's get into Ola, and if you had a chance to talk to him, his solar line, is it? I forget what his line is. Have you had a chance to play any of his particular guitars? I always like the look of the blue one. Looks awesome. He has a lot of ones with the Evertune bridge, which I'm a huge fan of still. And the new V. Tell us about that. Oh, I'll double check. Sorry if there's any questions. Any questions? No, but Charlie is saying it's like 1:20 a.m. in Paris. So props to Charlie. Props to Charlie for watching. That's amazing.
He's dedicated, man.
That's awesome.
What was cool, I asked Ola, because I'd seen him say something about it, but for the newer Solars, like he was instrumental with Washburn in picking out a manufacturing factory. Like what they did is they had maybe 6 different factories in Indonesia produce the guitar, and then they brought Ola in, and he kind of went over each one on his own, played it and checked it out to kind of make a decision on which factory did the better job of building the guitar. And I was like, yeah, I saw that. And I said, well, was it close? He said, well, you would think you're sending a one-off guitar to get judged. So you think you would put your sort of best foot forward? And he said 2 of the guitars were just head and shoulders above the other 4.
Crazy.
Like far and above. And then of the 2 kind of runner-up finalists, he said it was very, 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 very close between the 2 as far as fit and finish, construction, quality, and all that. So he kind of had to choose the one that he felt was just a teeny tiny bit better. So I thought that was a really interesting thing, and I thought that was a really cool move by Washburn to get him to do that. I don't know that I've ever heard of any company doing that with an artist before. Like, hey, we're shopping around for a new production facility. You know, we want to, of course, get the best that we can get, and we're going to send you the guitars and let you pick. And so I imagine that means Ola kind of ended up picking the production facility for probably the whole Parallax line. So
Parallax, that was the name. I couldn't quite remember. I knew his specific model, but that's awesome. That's really cool. And I mean, man, they must have had so much faith in him. Just like his, I mean, he's an amazing guitarist, and I mean, just like all his work with Randall amplification as well. But that's really cool. What did did you get to check out the new V? Did it look pretty sweet?
I did, yeah. I picked it up and held it and kind of played with it a little bit, and it felt pretty good to me. Okay. Can you hear the dog barking?
I can. It sounds like you're being invaded over there.
That's our little Maltese dog. Give me just 1 second, because
okay,
because it's bugging me.
No worries. As Ryan is double checking. Oh, okay. Let's go back. Hello to all the new people coming in. From JL, I've got a question. Just the Washburn Jazz cells. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much Ryan will know, but we will ask him. And Mike has that he's bought from Ryan's store 2 Washburns, 2 Chapmans, a Schecter, and a Diamond. That's pretty dang good. But so someone asked you, does the Washburn Jazz, does that sell? I'm unsure if it's a particular guitar.
Like the HB 35s, those are pretty popular. That's kind of like Gibson's, like the Gibson 335 style guitar.
Yep.
That HB 36 and HB 35, they're pretty cool guitars. They feel really good. That's not really my style of guitar and what I play on a regular basis, but I think they do a really good job. And I think they definitely give like the Epiphone versions of those a real run for the money.
Okay.
I mean, Washburn does a really good job on value for their price point. Now I know, because I had people say this, like, well, I got that one and it was crap. Like, well, I picked up some Gibsons that were crap. So
yeah,
you know, every company has stuff that happens, I guess. But for me, the amount of ones I've had come through my hands, particularly their acoustic guitars, they've always been, I thought, really good for the money. And the HB 35s and 36s have a pretty good reputation, I think, across a lot of players. Reviews, they seem to get pretty good positive reviews. So I don't know if that's what he meant.
Did you get a chance, segueing a little bit from Washburn, did you get a chance to, or have you got a chance before, to play any of the Evertune style bridges? Have you got to check them out?
I have not. The guru says duct tape works good for little dogs.
Because it sucks, because one day, you know, it'll be so cool if you get to play, you know, the Evertune. I was so excited when I originally heard, you know, of the idea of the Evertune, because it's something, you know, seemingly that's such a simple idea in practice. There's not like the robot guitars from Gibson where it uses you know, motors and batteries and stuff like that. It's just a really cool tension system with a couple of springs. And it's ideas like that that always excite me about guitar, because there's so many bazillion million guitarists out there. You always have these new innovative products that are coming out all the time. So hopefully next NAMM. I don't think Evertune were at NAMM this year, so hopefully they're there next year. They've got so many products they've been working on for ages, one for bass guitars and one with a built-in tremolo, like whammy bar. So a non-locking tremolo that never goes out of tune.
I think for me, like on the Evertune things, I would be more inclined to buy a guitar that already has it installed.
Yep.
Like, you know, of course, Washburn has some on their Solars, and then ESP has some LTDs with the built-in. It would be hard for me to take a current guitar that I own and then have it retrofitted, because they're taking out a big chunk, I think, of wood in the back. You know, do you play yours a lot?
Yeah. So good question. So when I was first introduced to Evertune, they were pretty much just starting, and it was before. So now you can get Evertune ESP guitars and LTD guitars. You can get Evertune. I can't remember if they ended up working with Gibson or not, and had standard Gibson models, and they're on Washburns, and they're on all these different guitar brands. You can just buy standard, already equipped with these Evertunes. So when I was interested, you couldn't do that. You couldn't buy a guitar that already had it equipped. So my sort of thought, it had to be retrofitted afterwards. So my sort of idea was, okay, I'm getting this new Telecaster. I'm not going to have, like you were saying, I'm not going to have any sentimental value. So it's sort of like a newish guitar. So then I just had it retrofitted. So I only had the guitar for about a week before I completely changed the pickups, changed all the electronics, and went with the Evertune. So I still play it. It's definitely it's so hard to describe, but it's like a pristine, clean tone. It's such a beautiful, clean tone. And this guitar, because it's really not for like the metal riffage and the prog, it's more for clean work. It suits the guitar really, really well. So I'd love eventually to get another Evertune on like a humbucker, more of a metally rock guitar. That would be really cool, because some of the rhythms and stuff, and again, these are the Evertune stuff for me is something that I would use more in the studio than anything else. It's just great to get such like a precise sound. And that's just me. Like, I can definitely think that, you know, there's that argument out there where people saying, well, you know, if something's not broken, you know, there's no need to fix it. And it's not saying that the whole industry is broken. It's just adding something, you know, extra. You know, it's like when people had electric guitars and they had humbuckers, and then they started, you know, being able to do different coils. So rather than having like the whole humbucker, you can split the coils and stuff. It's like, it's not that it was broken before, it's just another option. So that's how I think of Evertune. But certainly I think it's
a lot of people, the feedback, I think a lot of people, the feedback on the Evertune is that it is a great studio tool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people tend to use it the most. I don't know. Have you seen, like, on the net, have you seen people playing them live very much?
There's a couple really, really big bands that have brought out signatures now. I think like the Dillinger Escape Plan, that's the first band that comes to mind. There's heaps of bands. I can remember their songs, but I can't remember the names. But there's a lot more and more really big touring artists that are using them, because essentially, like, they have someone set up all the guitars. So with the Evertune, it does take like a second to, you know, to set it to whether you want to be able to bend or you want it to be able to not bend. I know that sounds crazy, but if you're only playing rhythm guitar, every chord will be ridiculously in tune all across the board. So if you're only playing rhythm guitar, it makes sense for you to set it up like that. If you're doing lead, then you can have a mixture of the two. You can set up the lower strings to be always in tune for chords, and the higher strings to be able to bend, and then you bend, go out of tune, and then come back into tune. So I've seen more and more people touring with them live, but they're the really, really big artists. I think because they still are, you know, it still costs like $1,000, like $1,000 to get installed. Like, that's Australian, obviously. So like, essentially, right, the guitar costs like,
that's like $5 in America, probably. Then
probably, maybe they pay you to get it installed. So I think that, like you were saying, I think that once it's on more models of guitar, just flat across the board, and it doesn't matter what brand, you can go in, and if you want a Fender, you can get a Fender from Fender that already have it. You can get a Gibson, blah blah blah. I think then more people will get them. I think just because the technology, not so much the technology, I think just more so because they're not pumping them out like that with pickups or whatever. It's still like quite an investment. But I think once they become cheaper, I'm certainly seeing them a lot of bands that I follow in the studio. Definitely in the studio.
Yeah, I think it's a great studio tool, really, and that's what it seems to be. That's what people seem to really like about it the most. Somebody's asking, Charlie P said, Ryan, did you get to check out the Chapman ML1 Norseman?
Good one.
And yes, I did. It was very cool. Actually, what was really cool was Eric, who's the guy from Evanstad Music. Like, he was there, and I walked up, and he's like, hey, you're Ryan from Texas. I'm like,
that's
yes.
Awesome.
I am. He's like, come here. Have you seen the Norsemans? I'm like, yeah, I was looking at them, you know, earlier. And he was like, well, what do you think? I'm like, I think they're awesome. They look great, you know. He was like just like a proud papa, you know, because it was his design basically to do that. And he was just so excited to be like, hey, check out this guitar. And he was a really nice guy too. So that was cool to meet another store owner from another country who's doing the Chapman thing. And yeah, they're really cool. I'm gonna try to get maybe a couple ordered. They come in two colors. They have that black sort of trans charcoaly black one.
That looks awesome. That would be my pick, definitely.
Yeah, and then they had the red one, and I was looking at both like, the red's, I mean, it's cool, but like that black is amazing. So
they just did a great job with that. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's got a Floyd, and it's that super strat sort of thing that's not really my personal aesthetic, but it looks good. Like, it looks pretty sweet. So yeah, I did, and I'm gonna try to get, you know, at least maybe a couple here for the folks in Texas to come put their hands on.
Awesome. We should do maybe like one question, and then I should ask you like maybe one more booth,
Sure.
Because man, you and me, we can chat.
Yeah, we can go all day.
We can go all day. So, but this is good. I'm so glad that it's worked out. It's just, I reckon if we did another one, it would be working out a time frame. That's because we're 18 hours difference. It's hard. It's real hard.
That's really
so
difficult.
there's a cool question from Brandon. Was there anything in particular, Ryan, that you've found at NAMM that you thought that was innovative? That you got excited for the future about?
A? Did he say A at the end of it?
He didn't.
Because Brandon's in Canada.
I'm assuming he did say A. He probably did. Yeah.
He's way at the.
Let's say he did.
He's practically in Europe. That's how far over in Canada he is. But, I'm trying to think of. There was a lot of chat about the Marshall. They had a new amp, the Code or something.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a bit of hype around that. I'm kind of weird about Marshall. You know, like they do some things that I kind of like, but then also there's things that I don't like. So I'm not like a super mega Marshall-y fan. I'm trying to think. You know, there wasn't a lot of what I would call innovation necessarily. You know, the Evertune was a pretty innovative product that we were just talking about that came out. Was that 2 years ago? I mean, that's a pretty big changer thing. There's some thoughts on the Code, the Marshall thing that is, well, you know, Bias is doing some stuff that you could do a lot of the similar things with that. You could get that on your iPad or your phone or whatever. So I'm trying to think.
Well, but I don't know if Bias, maybe they're not just there just yet. I don't know if they had a booth at NAMM.
I don't think so.
But they've just brought out or bringing out, I don't think it's out currently to the public, like Bias, for anyone that hasn't heard of them before, they've got this app where you can get it on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer, and you can design the actual amp and what sort of different power amps and tubes and transformers, where the microphone is, everything like that. You can design all of that. You can download your favorite artist ones. I've got it. It's a really, really cool program. But they've brought out or bringing out this year a head, like an actual physical head.
Oh, wow.
That you sit on top of your cabinet, and then just with your app or whatever, you just send whatever amazing presets that you've made, or maybe Ola's made or Keith Merrow's made, you like download them onto your phone and you send it through to the head. And then you've got like a physical representation. You don't have to listen to it through speakers on your computer or headphones. You can just blast out through your guitar cab. It's pretty cool.
I think probably the closest thing to something being really innovative was there was a little bit of experimentation with how guitars are being built.
Okay.
Like there was the company there, I can't remember the name of it, but they had guitars built out of aluminum, like cast aluminum, and then like graphite necks or something like that. And there was a little bit of buzz amongst like at least my YouTube kind of friends, like Pixie Licks was talking about them, and Tone King was talking about them, and Robert was talking about them, that it was kind of, you know, interesting. Like they sounded like guitars. And I have a friend, Jeremy Juarez in California, who was actually, I met 2 NAMMs ago, and he bought a Chapman 7-string from me. But Jeremy does a lot of stuff with its Aristides guitars, where it's all like composite. Like
I was just going to ask you about them. They're definitely one of the brands that I'd love to check out.
Yeah, Jeremy was he was demoing for them and Rev amps out of Canada, which is funny because their booth, Rev's amps, was right across from the Chapman amps, like facing each other, or Chapman and Victory. So they're chasing each other. You had these 2 amp companies. Yeah. Which, by the way, are at the very, very back of the drum hall. So the further you go to the front of the hall, it's all drums. And so at the very back, you know, think of all that ambient noise from drums and cymbals washing kind of all the way back. So it was a very loud part of the convention center. But see, Jeremy I got a video of it, him doing some playing and a little bit of a playthrough at Rev. And he was playing some of the one of the Aristides, and it sounded great. Now I don't know if it was the rev amps that like sounded great, but I thought that was pretty interesting. Because there's all this debate, of course, going on about the tone woods and does it matter, does it not matter, and all that sort of stuff. And like, I don't even want to talk about that. But you've got these guitars coming out with these other kind of materials that previously we've never really been able to make guitars out of, and they sounded pretty good. So I would think that the fact that there's a lot more experimentation, I think it's starting right now. The Aristides they're kind of in it, and then these guys building guitars out of aluminum. I think we're kind of on the genesis of the beginning of this really starting to get crazy with materials. So it sounded really good. Like I didn't play it. Like I didn't ask him, can I play your $2,000 guitar?
Yep.
But he was playing it, and I was just right there next to him while he was playing, and it sounded really great. Of course, he does a lot more modern, kind of not genty stuff, but kind of, and it sounded really good. Awesome. So I think for me, probably the experimentation with materials and manufacturing is kind of maybe the most innovative thing that I saw.
Well, definitely next year, you should, if you get a chance, you should check out the Strandberg guitars, because although they've been around for years and years and years, and they started off working out of the sort of custom shop from Washburn. That's how the dealers started, and then they went on and did their own thing, and now they have cheaper models made in, I think, World Instruments, just like LTD and PRS and Chapman. So they've come like all those brands, But the cool thing I've always wanted to try with their guitars is not like that it's headless and the body shape. It's more so the fact that that how the neck works is it's not like a standard neck where it's got the one sort of round all the way down. It's really hard to imagine. But if you're playing guitar, right, and your thumb is like 3/4 up on the back of the neck, right, as you sort of get down to the higher notes for the widdly stuff, your thumb sort of naturally, wants to go down the neck when you get up there, right? So if you can imagine, like, the neck is rounded, and the spine of the neck, so the middle of the neck on normal guitars is just straight. But how their guitar goes is it's sort of already worked out. All right, well, if your thumb is sort of working its way down the neck when you play that high stuff anyway, that's how the guitar goes down. So there's not like, it's not flat, it sort of goes diagonal across, if that makes sense, to sort of follow the natural thumb movement. So ideas like that, I think, well, how long have guitars had straight necks for? Maybe this is the next thing. It sounds really cool to me. And a lot of players that I've spoken to that have played them, they said, yeah, they thought it would be a huge deal, but it just feels like that next level of like comfort to them. So I like that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping next time you can check them out personally.
Yeah, it was so hard. I didn't even get to a lot of the places I wanted to get to because it's really large, and you're kind of like, I had appointments I kind of needed to take care of, like I said, with companies that I carry and guys I've promised to sort of talk to, and try to hit the booths of the brand. Like I went to D'Addario and spoke to Johnny Biz over at D'Addario, but a lot of the stuff with D'Addario, like I already knew what was coming out, and so I try to. It was sort of a networking thing for me this year, for the most part, and kind of meeting people and doing that was the main thing. But it's hard to get like everywhere you wanted to go because Tim said this the other day. We were talking, Tim Worley, and he's like, guitar players are like raccoons. I don't know if y'all have raccoons in Australia, but
we don't.
It's like, oh, look at this new shiny thing. Oh my gosh. And then we're all about this new shiny thing. Like, oh, that's the newest, it's the shiniest, it's the best thing ever. And then it's like, oh, great. And they're like, oh, what's that new shiny thing over there? And you sort of drop it and go, let me go over here. This is the newest, shiniest thing. It's so shiny and it's great. And so kind of walking through the thing, it's like, there's all these new shiny things everywhere. So for me, it was a little bit easy to get distracted. And I might have missed an appointment or two with some people because I couldn't get there. or someone else crossed my path. But most of my reps, I talked to them before. I talked to them after the show. As far as doing business and that kind of stuff. One thing I thought was interesting. The PRS booth was a lot smaller than it had been.
Okay.
I went up there, and then I did talk to, they have I can't remember his name, but he's like the acting like president of PRS. Like if you watch any of their factory tour stuff, he's walking you through the thing, talking about it.
Okay.
Paul is kind of traveling, and he's sort of the face of it, the marketing, but the guy who's really running the shop, running everything. I mean, he's been an employee of PRS for like 20 years or something. Mm-hmm. But I talked to him. He was just standing there, and I was like, I'll take a picture of you. Is that come on, and I talked to. He was really, really nice, and it was kind of funny. We actually ended up knowing some of the same people that when I lived in Oklahoma, he knew one of the artists from there. He's not a really well-known artist, but he's a PRS guy, and he's like, "Oh, do you know Noah?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to talk to Noah all the time." So it was very cool, but their booth was kind of small, which I thought was interesting. And then like Orange had the same size booth they normally have, this huge wall of orange amps, but they were it looked a little sparse. Like they didn't have like a lot of stuff there. So I don't know what that was about exactly. And I think the Gibson booth was a little bit like that too. I regret not getting a picture on the big throne of guitars, like the Game of Thrones thing.
I did see that. Yeah. Maybe next year it'll be back. Maybe
so. And I wanted to. So yeah, it was great. A lot of people won't believe this. Yeah. But I almost didn't go this year.
No.
I was kind of on the fence about it just because it's for us it's difficult because we are a small mom and pop shop, and to leave town, and we actually ended up having to close the store for maybe 2 days because I was out of pocket, and then Angela was like, if you're going to California, I'm going to go visit my parents. Whatever you want, honey. Yeah, go ahead. So it's for us at this point, it's really harder to get away kind of than it's ever been.
Of course.
And like I said, a lot of the business, from a business a store owner standpoint, a lot of the business, it's easier just to handle it over the phone or through email before or after the show. As far as, okay, I want to order this many guitars, when's the shipments coming in, how many units, this, that, and the other. So that was tough, but I was kind of dreading it a little bit, to be honest, just because, you go and you get sick afterwards and you're walking. And so if people who've never been are like, shut your mouth, I will go right now. Give me your ticket. Like,
I know that's what I'm like. Yeah, definitely.
I know. So it's kind of like, it's hard to be like, well, I almost didn't go because, but once I got there, I was really happy that I was there, and mostly meeting people and talking to people. And this was maybe the first year for me that people kind of recognized me a little bit from YouTube.
Yep.
Which as a YouTuber kind of person was kind of neat. And then I had several customers. Craig, I don't know if Craig will see this, but Craig Chan, he's out in California and bought a Chapman from me and something else. And then another guy, Chuck, I ran into him at the Schecter booth. He's like, hey, dude. I'm like, hey. I had to read his name badge, because I'd never seen him. But we had talked beforehand, and he bought a diamond from me. And so I had several customers from the West Coast that were like, hey, Ryan, what's up? I'm like, oh, hey, dude. And like to meet them face-to-face was really cool. And then there were a few places like at the EMG booth, which I love, EMG pickups and some of the stuff they're doing. And I'm talking to them, and like their photographer, like EMG's photographer guy who's taking pictures and video stuff, comes up, like, "Oh, hey, you're the dude from Texas." Yes,
that's so cool. That's awesome.
That's me. Yeah. Picture. I'm like, okay. So I was kind of nerding a little bit on that from just a YouTuber kind of standpoint, which a lot of people still don't understand the whole YouTube thing and the fascination with it, and people have, because we do it and we watch it and then we follow other people. So when you see someone that you've seen on YouTube a bunch of times, like in 3D, like right there, it's a pretty neat thing. And then like talking. So that was kind of a weird thing for me to actually have people go, oh, hey, they sort of recognized me. And I'm like, hey. But we've always tried to do that. You know, one of our things with our store, I guess, is that we try to keep it more organic. I mean, like if you call the shop, you talk to us. There's no, I don't have, minions. So that was an interesting thing. But, meeting people, I think, was probably the highlight of my trip, really, almost more than the gear.
Yeah.
But, meeting kind of other humans and talking to them and getting to know them and hearing their story, or people that I've talked to, like, like when you came to Texas, it was like, oh, great, it's Pat in person. This is awesome.
That's what I was like. When you picked me up from the airport, I was like, oh, it's Ryan. He's here and he's in 3D. It was crazy.
You're real.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think the highlights for me mainly were kind of connecting with people on a human level. So that was neat because gear is awesome, but gear is always awesome, and it's always there, and it's kind of always changing and stuff. But
I feel like
that was probably my highlight.
I feel like because you're probably seeing now that Ryan and I can talk for hours and hours on end. I reckon we should take one more question, and then maybe if there's something that you would do differently the next time you went, and something that you wouldn't do next time you went. Maybe something like that, just to close up.
Okay.
So just scanning, double checking if there's all questions. Flipside Music is on there. That's awesome.
Yo, what's up, Ike?
Is there any? Yeah. Is there anything you would do differently next time you went?
Anything I would do differently?
Or something
I would
like
probably.
Sorry, something like the inner soul thing that you learned this time. Is there anything else you would do that you picked up this trip?
I would probably plan my days better, like have a better. Now I know you're a very organized dude, so you're like, yes, of course. I kind of like each day. When I woke up in the morning with a picture of Billy Sheehan staring at me. That was freaky. There's a story behind that. Anyways, I would kind of like, all right, who do I need to see today? I need to see these guys. And then I would kind of go to the show, and then I would start with one and then kind of get distracted and maybe not hit every booth that I wanted to hit. So I think if I had been a bit more organized when I got there about knowing exactly what hall and booth number each vendor was at, because they're like in hall D, stand 2995. That's where Schecter is, or that's where whoever is. So maybe mapping out my days, and then maybe on the first 2 days really hitting the business stuff of, okay, I've got to see these people and we've got to talk about some things, and map that out. And then maybe the last 2 days, because it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, this is the stuff that I really, really want to see. Just being a little bit better planned. And it was difficult to get video. Like I didn't get as much video as I wanted to, because for me, it was some business stuff. It wasn't just a trip to go shoot video and take pictures, but I had to go have sort of meetings with sales reps and stuff. So maybe I didn't do as good of a job planning my days and my route as I could have. So next time I will, before I get there, have a really good idea of who I want to talk to on what days, and make sure that I do. And then maybe even have a whole day set to where like, okay, this is a video day where today is about getting as much video content as possible.
Yep.
And so it was a little shotgun method for me this year.
But it was great. Like I thought your coverage was really, really good. I thought it was really good.
Well, thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
I didn't take a lot of pictures that I think I just uploaded all the pictures to my Facebook.
Yep.
I didn't get as much video probably as I really wanted to do, but
I've got one more question. Do you think is there any chance, and I've always wondered this, is there any chance as you being a dealer for a lot of these brands, and you can talk to and you've known the people that set up the booths for years and years now, is there any way that you could ever go to a NAMM and you could get there like a day early, like on a setup day, and the really big guys that, that you sell so many instruments through your store for, is there any way you could see them on a setup day? And you could maybe have a little bit more like quiet time, like when it's not so noisy, and you can, in one day of the setup day, you could smash out all the brands that your store looks for in like a quieter environment. Would that ever be a possibility?
Yeah, actually that is. I went as a guest of Kaiser Capos, which are they're actually in Canton, Texas. So, I mean, you've been to Canton, very, very small town in East Texas. It just so happens that probably the biggest capo manufacturer and the longest running ones are right here in the small town too. And so I went as a guest of them this year. And a lot of people ask that. There's a question actually I've gotten a bunch. Is like, how do you go? How do you get into these things? And you have to be, either a buyer, like you own a store, or you have to be a company like say D'Addario, or you can get like Tone King, I think, gets in as the Tone King. Like he's a music media, he has his own thing, but you have to join NAMM, become a member and pay your dues. It's a couple $100, I think, but you can't just join. You have to join under like, or you're a retailer, you're a manufacturer, you're a, media marketing thing, and you got to pay your fees. So what I've done a few times is like, I could go as RNA Music, have my own little RNA Music buyer badge and all that. But it costs more.
All right.
And I do have a really good relationship with some of my vendors. Like I've gone as a guest of Chapman 1 year, and then I've gone as a guest of Kaiser because they're really friendly people, and I work kind of with them. And like some of the people who work there, I teach their kids lessons.
Awesome.
Right. So it's kind of like, them, and then I went as, a guest of D'Addario 1 year. So, but it is, I think it was last year actually, because I was with Kaiser, they brought me in early. Like, cause I want to do some video with them and it was too loud. And so the head of their marketing department, like who knows me and knows we do video stuff, he came and got me and brought me in early so I could do some video with him. So that's
awesome.
It never occurred to me to ask people for that until just now. So thanks.
Yes. Awesome. Because I mean,
but that would be the trick, because I probably couldn't go as RNA Music, the store. I would have to go as a, employee of or a marketer of a brand or something.
Yeah.
What is interesting, I'll tell you this, your badges are different colors.
Yep.
Based on who you are. Like if it's a red badge, if it's a blue badge, you're a buyer. That means you're there to do deals, to buy for your store. And if it's another color badge, you're a vendor. And if it's another color badge, it's something else. Well, people are, look, do you have the badge that says you're here to spend money and buy for your store? If not, sometimes I don't talk to you as much. And if you do, that means, oh, hey, how many units do you want to order this year?
Gotcha.
So that's kind of an interesting thing that I've noticed. But
is there any way you could be like a Pokemon master and you could somehow obtain all of the badges, and then you can get?
I don't know. I think that's probably a good idea. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at before, the Pokedex. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm in my son's room. For anybody who's wondering, my 15-year-old. But there are guitars. Oh wait, those are swords. Wait, there's weapons, but then there's guitars. I don't have a home office yet, Pat. I need one.
Well, mine. For people wondering, this is what we're working with. We're working with a black sheet, and then my half of the studio is here with all the guitars, cameras and computer gear and rack units and stuff, an amp, of course, back here. And then the other half, directly opposite, is my girlfriend, Jess's side. So it's a little bit messier on Jess's side. But there's her piano, and she's got many guitars as well. But essentially, yeah. Oh, man. What a luxury it would be to just have our own room.
I know, it's all music. Those are toys. I tried to get where at least there's an amp.
Okay.
So my son is so spoiled because, like, how many 15-year-olds, you know, have a dual rectifier, you know, and then rack of guitars
and a Pokedex all in the one room,
and a poster of all the Pokemon.
But yeah, so I mean, if I ever went, that would be really cool, because if you and me could somehow go the day before, then I could just film you, and then you could just sit there with a microphone and talk to all these dudes, and it would be so much easier than, like, you know, yelling when everything's live. That would be kind of fun. Hopefully.
Yeah. There's a thing too. It's hard to do video stuff on your own.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a partner to go with you, or a friend who can do some photos and stuff. So this is my shout out to Ike at Flipside Music, if he's still on here. We ended up kind of cruising together, walking around the different booths together and checking out. I mean, we carry some of the same brands. And so that kind of made sense, but we also were checking out stuff together to see hey, what do you think about this? Or do you think this would do good for your local crowd in Denver? And they're like, oh yeah, people in Texas really dig this. But so we kind of went around together, but like, I take a picture of this. Cause I can't, like, hold the camera and then hold the guitar. And, like, you know, and it's weird to, like, take a picture, like you're trying to take a picture with you and Ola England and you got your phone out and, like, hey, Ola.
You mean you didn't have, like, a selfie stick that you were using the entire time? That's how I thought you were doing it. I just assumed that's what you were doing.
No, I just, like, snap,
Awesome.
snap.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, but you know, if you have a friend you can walk around with the whole time, that really makes it easier for, like, doing some video things and picture things. So
cool.
I was lucky enough to have a few buddies there that we had kind of common goals and common places to go.
Well,
and here's the tip that I heard from Ola. Eat a really huge breakfast, like, and then don't eat all day, like, because it's hard to leave and go have lunch, and it's stupid expensive if you eat there at the convention center. And then you have a big dinner. So that's what I did at the hotel. I got waffles and just, like, loaded up, carved up for breakfast.
That's awesome.
And I didn't eat again until, like, dinner time. So that was another tasty tip.
Nice. I like it. Okay, so we've got, for next year, we've got comfy shoes. Maybe get there a day early to do the interviews. The inner soles.
Stay
hydrated, and lots of vitamins, and giant breakfast meal. That sounds good. Well, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and for commenting and leaving your questions. Thanks so much, Ryan, for being free. It's so tricky with this 18-hour time frame difference for us to find the time.
Somebody wanted to see the katana, so there you go.
There you go.
It's a wooden one. It's not real. It's wooden, but you could hurt somebody if you had to.
But thank you so much. Thank you for everyone for watching. All of this information from Ryan, a lot of it, pretty much all of it, I was finding out the first time too, so it was really cool. These were just questions I really wanted to ask Ryan, so I thought we may as well do a video about it. So this video will be on my channel, and it'll be on Ryan's channel as well. If it sounded and looked okay, definitely let us know. If there's things maybe we can work on, we'll check them out for next time. That's it, man. Is there anything you want to say, Ryan? Thanks again. Thanks so much.
Oh, thanks for having me. I've done a live stream with just me and Angela, but I've never done one kind of like this with other people. And I've been wanting to get started with this. So, well, we were supposed to do this before with a couple of other guys.
Yeah, we had we've had these huge plans for ages, but with the time zone differences, man, if people were just in one country, it'd be so easy. But
just everybody moved to Texas.
Then we could just be in
one country.
We could just be in one room. So yeah, I think Ryan and I might do another one of these in a little while. It was
that'd be great. Man. I love to.
It was really cool. But that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Ryan, again.
Thank you, Pat.
And we'll see you all again. Goodbye.
Bye.
Crikey.